If you're a wide receiver and you want to stop dropping passes, watch this video. All right, so in this video, we're going to be talking about the fundamentals of catching to make sure that you guys never drop a pass, like hand placement, eye placement, what part of your hand the football should be hitting. And then we're going to get into the more difficult catches, like catches in traffic, catches while you're getting hit, and how you guys can win one of those jump ball 50-50 catches. So I hope this video helps you guys out, fellas. But also, if you would like to train with us this offseason, we're coming out to 15 different cities across the U.S. for 2-day long QB and wide receiver camps. So check out that very first link in the description below if you want some more information on how you can sign up to train with us. Like I said, coming out to 15 different cities. Our first 2 camps in Miami and San Francisco are completely sold out, but then we'll be coming out to 13 more across the country. So if you want to sign up, check out that very first link in the description below. Let's get started with this video. So now, first thing we're going to be talking about is just the basic fundamentals of catching, right? So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this because I want to get to the more difficult catches. But anytime that we are catching a ball, one of the things that leads to drops from wide receivers is not looking the ball all the way in properly. Now, I say that in a lot of wide receivers, you hear it all the time. Oh, keep your eye on it, make sure you look it in. But something that you need to work on in practice is something I call a trigger phrase. So what is a trigger phrase? That's something that you need to repeat to yourself that forces us to have to look the football all the way in. That could be as simple as, hey, focus on the stripe, or look for laces or no laces, right? Laces or spaces. Sometimes I'll have my wide receivers, especially the younger ones, if they're dropping a lot of passes, I'll throw them a pass, I have them look it in, and then I have them verbally call out if they see laces or no laces, because it holds them accountable. It forces them to have to look the ball in, and they have to call something out. And I'm able to see if they're actually looking at laces, no laces, because it's a big target on the football. I can see if they're lying. I can see if they're BSing the drill. So that's something that you could do. Now, another thing that I find it helps myself the best is I tell myself that you want to pretend your eyes are a camera and you want to take a photo of the ball. So, like, I'm sure everybody's seen, like, like a family portrait or a self-portrait before in somebody's house. What's inside of the picture frame? It's the person's entire face. It's the entire picture, right? That's how you want to think of your eyes. And the football is inside that photo frame. The only thing in your line of vision is that photo. So if you guys can find something that forces you to have to look the ball in, some kind of phrase, that's going to help us be more consistent. Because I would say 90% of all drops come from not properly looking the ball in. Now, what about hand placement? So I'm sure all of you guys have heard about diamond before, like keep your thumb and your index connected. Now, the one thing I would say that screws up a lot of guys with hand placement on the ball is they let the football hit their palms. So you see when this wide receiver makes a catch of the ball, where is he catching this thing? He's catching this thing in the webbing of his hands, aka the fingers, right? Not the fingertips, because that's how you're going to jam your fingers, but he's not letting this ball make contact with his palm. That's something so many young wide receivers will do, is they will catch this ball, and especially when it's got some heat on it, and it'll make this really loud noise when it makes contact with their palms. Guys, that's not having that quote unquote soft hands. You guys hear that phrase thrown around all the time. Hey, you want to have soft hands, right? Soft hands means catching the ball in the webbing of your hands. If you guys can do that and effectively look the ball in, those are the first 2 keys to being a more consistent pass catcher. Because at the end of the day, guys, even when you watch NFL wide receivers drop passes, usually it's just basic fundamentals that they do not do that all wide receivers at any level can learn from. So let's play this thing full speed. This is a great example of just proper catching fundamentals. Now we're going to get into the fundamentals of over-the-shoulder catches, so like a deep pass downfield. And then, like I said, we're going to get into those more complex catches like jump balls, catching in traffic, and catches while you get hit. So this is a deep skinny post here from DJ Moore, and this is another great example of an over-the-shoulder pass. So we get this question a lot, like, hey, coach, I'm able to catch passes fine over the middle, quick passes, passes with velocity, but when it is thrown over the top and I have to track this thing over my shoulder, that is when I struggle. So this hopefully can help you guys with that problem. So when that ball is thrown deep over the shoulder, most important thing, again, is going to be your eyes. So when it's over the shoulder, that's why I like that photo frame, like kind of phrase, I guess, if you will, where you want to take a photo of the ball with your eyes. You see how Moore is watching this thing all the way to when it hits his hands. His eyes are tracking this thing all the way down. You want to see the football make contact with your hands. If that football is the only thing in your line of vision, it's not the football and then these camera guys over here. It is just the football. It's not the football and then the defender over here. It is just the football in your line of vision. That is going to help you track that ball more. Now, something that I tell my wide receivers to do, because when it's thrown over the shoulder, a lot of guys struggle catching it, like letting it drop over the shoulder. Sometimes that ball is thrown and then they feel like they have to make this real like acrobatic catch over the shoulder and the ball ball's almost thrown like over here. Something that I tell my receivers to do is try to keep your chest behind the ball. So what I mean by that is the ball is thrown, and if that ball is like fading outward, like let's say it's a fade ball, for example, you want to keep your chest behind the ball. It's always easier to catch a pass here than it is over here and having to move your hands way around your frame. That's another reason why I feel wide receivers drop those over the shoulder catches. So make sure, guys, number one, we see the football make contact with my hands. The only thing in my line of vision is the football. Make sure that I keep my chest behind the ball. And then last but not least, a mistake. And honestly, like Moore gets a little bit lucky here. I don't recommend wide receivers catch passes like this. You see the gap that he has between his hands. A lot of times wide receivers on deeper passes will have this gap and that ball will go right through the middle of their hands. Guys, make sure that you are keeping your pinkies like, you know how we talk about that diamond where your thumb and your index want to be touching? When it's an over-the-shoulder pass like this, you want to try to almost touch your pinkies together. You want to flip your hands. They don't have to be touching, obviously, but as close as you can together so we don't have that big gap between my hands and the ball shoots through the middle. So those are probably the three top reasons I see people drop these over-the-shoulder catches. So if you can keep that in mind. And again, in a game, we can't think about all that. It's got to be an automated habit. It's something that we just have down pat. We don't have to think about it. We don't have to worry. We can just react. But in practice, guys, especially with the off season for a lot of you right now, these are things that you need to think about. It's built in the off season. This time of year is not a time of year to where you just rest and don't do anything. If you want to take some time off, cool, but anytime that you're catching, you have to keep these things in mind. Okay, so now let's get to the more difficult catches. This first one is going to be a jump ball 50-50 catch. Now this throw here from Jackson Smith, he's in this like double coverage look, right? So it's like this is not for only double coverage. This is for any type of jump ball situation, middle of the field, on the goal line, whatever the case may be. So when that ball is thrown above the rim, there's two things we want to focus on. Number one is going to be going up strong. Number two is going to be ripping the ball violently to the tuck. So let's talk about it. So going up strong, I would say, is not so much like a physical thing, if you will. It can be, and I'll explain how. But going up strong is more of like a mental thing that you just have to decide, right? Like, so balls thrown up, like mentally in your mind, you got to almost have that mindset of that's my ball. Nobody's getting it but me. I'm going up there. I'm going up strong. If I got to rip this thing from somebody, I'm going to rip it from somebody. That's my ball. I'm going to go get it, right? And that's a mental thing that I feel all wide receivers develop going up against competition. You know, we get a lot of wide receiver questions. I've trained wide receivers in the past that are maybe more on the beginner side of things and don't have a ton of experience playing football, right? My biggest piece of advice to develop that like kind of killer instinct in you where you're just going to go get the ball is getting reps against live competition. If you could ever go against DBs, if you could ever go to camps, you know, like at our camps that we host, we have one-on-ones every single camp that we do, right? And it's not one-on-ones to expose people. It's one-on-ones to get better and to get those live actual reps, right? So developing this instinct comes from reps against competition. Now, another physical thing that you could do to work on this is improve your grip strength if you have to go up and almost rip the ball from a defender, right? So grip strength comes from doing exercises like, you know, pull-ups, hanging from a pull-up bar, fingertip push-ups, you know, farmer's carry, which is essentially where you hold two heavy dumbbells and you just walk holding the dumbbells. Anything that's going to strengthen your hands, your grips, your forearm will help you physically with this. Now, this is something that can be repped, but on the way down, DBs are taught to play your hands. You see it so many times, wide receivers will go up strong, but they hold the ball like away from themselves, almost like it's going to explode, right? Don't know why they do it. Don't know why people started doing that. But when you're holding that ball away from yourself on the way down from this catch, all it takes is one good pop of the ball. It's out. PBU, DB did his job. They are taught to play the ball on the way down. So when you go up and make this catch, I want this thing ripped as quickly as possible. And you see both guys are trying to play this thing on the way down as violently and as quickly as possible to the tuck to make sure that nobody makes a play on this. And that violent rip to the tuck is going to apply to the other catches that we are going to discuss in the remainder of this video. So make sure we go up strong and make sure we rip that thing away on the way down. So now this is an example here from Davante Adams, and he is going to be running a comeback route with a DB in tight coverage, driving on the ball, making contact with him as soon as he catches the ball or about to make contact with him, right? So this would be qualified as a catch in traffic and a catch while you are getting hit, right? So pay attention to what he does with the ball here. He comes out of the break, he turns, goes up for the ball, makes a catch, and he knows at this point right here, he is going to be getting hit or there is going to be some kind of contact. So let's say it's not a comeback and this guy's right on my hip. Let's say I'm running a slant route and I got a linebacker right here and a safety right here, and I'm catching this ball right over the middle, and you know, every receiver knows this feeling that I'm going to be taking a shot right as soon as I catch it. What do you think you have to do? Rip the ball violently to the tuck. It's the same thing as the jump ball, guys. Because when you're running over the middle, especially nowadays, because like you can't hit a defenseless receiver like how you used to be able to in football, right? Which is a good and bad rule. Sometimes that rule, you know, it makes defenders kind of play softly, which, you know, can lead to missed tackles, and it's an offensive league. That's what everybody says, especially in the NFL. But a lot of times it protects defenseless receivers, and that's good for our sake. But when we catch that ball, you better believe those DBs and linebackers, safeties are going to be trying to play my hands. They're going to be trying to swipe that ball just like that jump ball catch. So you see, when Adams secures this ball, what does he do? He catches it right away. On the way down. He doesn't even get his feet down yet. He's ripping that ball violently to the tuck because he knows there's going to be contact. And if you're holding the ball away from yourself and there's contact, more likely to drop it. And it's an easier play for that DB to knock it out. So catches in traffic, catches while you're getting hit, catch that ball and rip it violently away. All right, fellas, really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, if you would like to come out and train with us in 15 different cities this offseason, check out that very first link in the description below. All camps will sell out probably about 3 months ahead of time. So we still have 13 more opportunities for you. So check out, again, that very first link below. We'd love to have you out there. See you guys next time.